Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Cabinet on September the 16th, 2025. We will start, as we always do, by welcoming everyone in the chamber and anyone who's watching on screen. And we will go around the chamber just to make sure that everyone is introduced and so everyone knows who is here. So I'll start with you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Dave Gill. I'm the Interim Monitoring Officer.
Councillor Darren Woody-West, Portfolio Holder for Climate Change and Neighbourhood Services.
Councillor Simon Goldson, Portfolio Holder for Planning and Enforcement.
Councillor Joe Asher, Portfolio Holder for Culture, Leisure, Economy and Tourism.
Councillor Jim Knight, Portfolio Holder for Finance.
Ella Newman, Temporary Senior Democratic Services Officer and Team Leader. Leah Micklebarrett, Interim Head of Democratic Services and Elections.
Russell Smith, Head of Environmental Services and Community Safety.
Emily Arksey, Property Officer within Corporate Assets. Alan Averill, Head of Property Services.
John Russell, Head of Financial Services and Deputy 151.
Clive Mason, Chief Finance Officer. Thank you.
Liz Elliott, Deputy Chief Executive.
John Richardson, Chief Executive.
And I'm Phil Knowles. I'm the leader of the council and Councillor Paul Greybeard in Arden Ward. So thank you. And as I say, good evening. There is any fire alarm this evening. There is no drill. It's for real. And leaving the appropriate way through the exits that are marked, and we'll all meet safely, we hope, on the car park outside. That's where we are. We were expecting at least one speaker this evening who had asked if they could speak on all the items. Unfortunately, they can't make it. So it is just the Cabinet this evening. Councillor King had asked for permission to speak, which happily I'd granted. But unfortunately, he's something's come up and he's unable to make it. So I think that's where we are with this. We'll move on to the agenda and we'll start off with apologies for absence. I only know that we have apologies from Councillor Beadle. Anybody else? No? Right, that's it then. That's the one apology we've got. Well, that can be recorded. Declarations of members' interests. Any member want to declare any interest? No? Joe, do you want to give us an update on your holiday or no? Not yet. Okay. We now move on to information exchange from portfolio holders, which is item number 3, which I will happily lead off with my own. It's fairly short this evening. Firstly, I'd like to reiterate my clear position with regard to the local government reorganisation that was debated in the council chamber last Monday evening at the special full council. As I've said many times, I do not believe our current system is broken, and I do not feel the significant cost of change is warranted when there are far greater priorities for both national and local government to be focused on. However, we are being mandated to submit a proposal, and as such, I will be championing the North City South model with no boundary changes to the city. I believe this model of 3 equal-sized unitary authorities is large enough to deliver efficiencies, but still local enough to respond. I look forward to a discussion at scrutiny later in October. I'd also like to thank Councillor Rosita Page for taking me on a tour of her local area to show me some of the fly tip hotspots over there. Fly tipping is an absolute blight on the rural district and a crime that should be tackled wherever and whenever we can. We do deploy cameras, we enforce whenever we can, but still the problem persists. I have asked officers to identify any further measures we can take as a council and what resources they may need to help us with this. And I'm awaiting that information back so that Cabinet colleagues and I can consider it through the forthcoming budget process. I think that's quite an important thing that we need to do. I know that you, Councillor Gorton, have identified that before as being one of the priorities that we should be looking at. And I think it is very, very important that we do it. Also, I want to just make a couple of other comments. I would like to place on record my thanks to the various parish councils and town councils that I've met along with officers over the last couple of weeks to discuss the community master plans. It really is refreshing to see all people from right across the political spectrum so committed to this as an opportunity to work with our communities and to be able to deliver for our communities. It is going to be very interesting to see what we can ultimately deliver. There's a lot more work to do, but we are very well advanced on it. Also on the rewilding, again, you know, this is something that is incredible. We are actually, as a council, leading the way on this nationally significant project. It is so important, such an opportunity. We will be shortly announcing the meeting date with volunteers. We've got so many volunteers. It's probably running up towards 200 volunteers now, people who want to get involved. So we will be meeting with the volunteers and they'll be invited to come along and to understand how they can get involved now, because we are starting to formalise quite a few bits of the project. There will be a public meeting to which obviously members of the public will be invited. That's going to be, clearly that's going to be something that is going to be used to direct people who are interested in getting involved, because we can direct them to the many groups who have indicated they'd like to have their involvement noted, and all these groups who are volunteering. So again, we can actually push people down those routes, and it's going to be a golden opportunity. I'm also going to give notice now that there will be an announcement of a date for members to formally visit the site and see the size of this project for themselves. And we're also going to be doing the similar thing with our staff. The staff are an integral part of all of this, and we will be making sure that our staff can see this at first hand. We're already being contacted by the likes of DEFRA, who want to come up in the next few weeks to actually have meetings with us. That's going to be vitally important. And we are accelerating this with the John, is it Bristow or?
John Bristow.
John Bristow. John Bristow has now joined us. He's on board now. He's the formal officer who's going to be steering a lot of this for us. That's another investment by us. It's so important. We're going to have the people there on the spot. We're going to be able to do this for us. I'm also going to say, and I think this is quite incredible, nature is taking the land back itself, because our experts are telling me that we've got skylarks, we've actually got oaks, little oaks growing all over the site, which is quite remarkable in just a short space of time. So there's really a tremendous amount going on. I also want to just say something about the prison naming. It has been in the press recently that the prison authorities have come up with 3 names. I can tell you that I sat in on a meeting the other day and I made it extremely clear I don't think any of the 3 names are acceptable. I just don't understand for the life of me where they've come from. I rarely agree with Councillor King, but Councillor King has been in the press saying he doesn't agree with them. Well, I don't agree with them either. I'd have to say, we did say to them, look, you know, with all due respect, and this is a point that Councillor Asher made, because Councillor Asher was on the same meeting, we said to them, with all due respect, you have to involve the public in this. You know, you're forcing this prison on this area. And if you're going to push it on, you do have to involve the public. But I will say again, if they're going to push it forward, they should remember one thing. This authority's planning committee refused it. Public meetings refused it and said we didn't want it. We had members of parliament who said we shouldn't be forced to take it. We had an inspector that came here, listened, and came out and said very clearly, this authority was right to refuse it and we shouldn't have it. And I do think that the best name that's been put forward, and I have to pay tribute to Councillor Asher, because she was as one with me on this, was we actually said that maybe if they're going to name this, it should be named after the person who's landed it in Harborough, and they should call it the Gove, because the Secretary of State at the time, Mr. Gove, decided to override everyone and to say that we've got to take it. So I would say to the prison authorities, it's still not too late. You can still call it the Gove, and at least people will then remember why we've got it. There's lots of other things that's going to come up this evening, which we'll pick up on at the time. But that's my update realistically now. And I'm happy to take any questions. No? Everybody happy? That's good. Right, we'll start off with you then, Jim. Do you want to give us your update?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, the portfolio holder update for finance. The council has published the 24-25 accounts at the end of August, so all respective councils were duly informed. And the finance team have worked extremely hard over the spring and the summer. And this has included a complete overhaul of the accounting practices relating to capital and fixed assets, a fundamental review of debtors, accounting and new processes and practices relating to bank reconciliations. Bank reconciliation and grant accounting are the two issues that remain to be finalised, and these are being addressed as we speak. In respect of the external audit, this will start in early October and is expected to continue through to Christmas. The Audit and Standards Committee is being kept up to date with progress and has received reports on progress since February 2025. At the latest committee meeting, the external auditor confirmed that they will be concentrating on 24-25 transactions, and only if there is time will they look at prior year balances. This means that the council should expect a disclaimed opinion come February 2026 due to not being able to confirm opening balances, but hopefully having a sound foundation for 24-25, this will be a good platform to commence the building back process after February 2026. So 26-27 budget setting. The council has started the budget setting process for the next financial year. Section 151 officer, along with the performance officer, now meeting with service heads, leads, to review their current budget position and their potential needs in future years. The budget setting process will follow the same as previous years. Between now and January, the administration will be developing its financial policy priorities, with the draft budget being presented to Cabinet and then scrutiny in January, the final budget being presented in February. Moving on to remediation works at Symington Building and Market Hall. These remediation works, both the Symington Building and Market Hall, continue currently. Everything is on schedule. Further, the LED lighting project at the Symington Building is close to completion. And then moving on, Harborough Enterprise and Innovation Centres. Both Enterprise and Innovation Centres are now currently at 100% occupancy. Friendship Park, EE will be removing their equipment in October. Moving forward over the next couple of months, there are no known key decisions due from finance portfolio, although it's worth noting that 26-27 budget preparation process has now started in respect of reporting of the budget to councillors. It should be noted that the expectation will be that Q2 will be reported in November. December, Cabinet budget principles, December full council, the council tax base, January Cabinet draft and budget, also in January overview, scrutiny and the draft budget, February Cabinet final budget, and also council final budget in February. And that is my finance portfolio.
Thank you, Jim. Just a couple of points that I'd like to make, if I may. I mean, first of all, I'd like to thank the officers and your good self for the support in getting this Peregrine Falcon platform considered. We're also looking at the actual platform and sort of nesting and whatever else for the Swifts and on the two other things. So again, you know, we're trying to do our bit to assist with nature on the building. But talking about the building in general, I would like to just appeal to anybody who thinks that it is great fun to start trying to climb on the scaffolding. It is extremely dangerous. The press have been in touch with me today and asked for a comment, which I said I'm more than happy to give them. But when anyone who decides that they're going to start trying to come and climb up the scaffolding, because I think it's a bit of a hoot, you could suddenly find yourself up an incredible height, and if you fall, the outcome could be extremely serious. We don't want to see anyone getting injured, and I'd like to make a personal appeal to anybody who thinks it's a bit of fun. It isn't. Please don't do it, because otherwise, you're putting your own life at risk, and maybe others who've got to try and come and help you. I think that's important. I think it's also a very, very good to know that we've got 100% occupancy at the Innovation Centre, etc. I mean, that it really is, it's wonderful for us. We were up there the other day at an event, and it is absolutely so. It's thriving. It's incredible. So really, really good. Anybody else want to make any comments at all on what Jim's reported? No. Okay, Joe.
Thank you, Leader. I'll start with the £1 million community grants. It's been a busy first year for the £1 million community grant fund, enabling delivery of projects and initiatives at a local level across the district. The last round in year one closed in August, and there are now several applications that will be discussed at the Cabinet Subcommittee Grants at their meeting on the 24th of September. If these applications are approved on the 24th of September, it will mean many communities across the district would have received a share of £926,377. I'd like to say thank you to the communities team who have worked closely with parishes and communities to help them with their grant applications. Year two of the community grant will be starting in October 25, as well as the information on the council's website. Information will also be shared with parishes and the communities. Heritage Open Days. Buildings and venues across the Harborough District will be welcoming visitors as part of the National Heritage Open Days Festival between the 12th and the 21st of September. This year's festival theme is architecture, and it's especially relevant with the Symington building in Market Harborough undergoes a programme of renovation and restoration works. On the 13th and the 20th of September, visitors will be able to take a tour inside the former factory to learn more, see photos and films from the archives, and hear about the corsets that travelled the globe. More information on this is available on the council's website. Marketing support for local hospitality businesses. Feedback from the recent Food and Drink Fortnight event has been overwhelmingly positive. All respondents found it useful and well organised and would like to see it repeated. Options are being explored to provide further strategic marketing support for hospitality businesses, potentially through a series of webinars modelled on a previous successful programme. The UK Government's Rural England Prosperity Fund. A range of businesses and organisations across the district have benefited from the Rural England Prosperity Fund. Organisations in rural locations receive funding between £5,000 and £20,000 from Harborough District Council to enhance physical, cultural and social amenities. Examples include alterations to buildings and cultural venues with the additions of new lighting, audio and display equipment in libraries and village halls, improving visitors' experience with investment in creative and retail spaces, as well as creating new heritage trails to encourage increased participation in local history. More information about the successful projects and the grants can be found on the council's website. And that's all from me tonight.
Joe, I'd just like to say a couple of words about that report. I think that we should all recognise and say thanks. I know you're putting a lot of hard work in on your portfolio, as are the whole team. But it's quite remarkable when you look at this £1 million community grants, and then you look at the rural grants. The amount of people that these are helping is quite remarkable. And, the people are openly saying to us when they come into these grants meetings and when they're receiving the grants, that it's making such a difference to them. And so many groups right across our district are only able to do things because we've been able to find ways of facilitating this funding. So it's hugely positive, and it's having such a wonderful effect across the whole district. And I think it really is evidence, if we needed it, of our commitment to the communities. And I think it's tremendous what's been achieved. And I would like to pay tribute to our officers, because I know you're putting a lot of hard work in on this. Because every time there's a problem, we keep throwing it in your direction and saying, can you sort this out? We do really appreciate what the officers are doing. But as I say, well done, Joe. And I think it's absolutely tremendous what's been achieved. Anyone want to come in at all on that? No, everybody's happy. That's good, Joe. Simon?
Yes, thank you, Leader. Give a brief update on activities in the portfolio since the last cabinet meeting. The analysis of responses made to the local plan Reg 19 due to public consultation, that's now been completed. Briefings with members have already started. There was one last week and a meeting of the local plan advisory panel the week before. We've got quite a lot of meetings, in fact, coming up in the next few months to look at the outcome of the Reg 19 ongoing work. Preparation of the updated work programme for the new local plan is almost complete, and that will be reported to Cabinet at a future meeting. There has been considerable recruitment into the Development Management Service since the last Cabinet meeting. These include 2 new senior planners in the growth team, and we're going to need those, Chairman, with the number of speculative applications that we are now either getting or have got wind of that are on the way. 2 new planning officers in the main development management team, 2 new recruits into the planning admin team, and a new planning enforcement officer. I'm particularly pleased to see that planning enforcement is now a considerable team of people there dealing with enforcement matters. Just prior to the last cabinet, a new conservation officer has also joined the council. These are outputs of investment that the council has recently made into the planning service. And this will make the service stronger and more resilient in the months and years ahead as the service manages increased workload and the new local plan. Current key actions and events. Work continues to progress on the open spaces management and maintenance review project, and we're expecting to see that in the new year. Members will be kept informed on the progress as this is an important piece of work that is progressing. In terms of the local plan, again, discussions continue with key stakeholders concerning their responses to the plan, with the aim of basically addressing and mitigating concerns as quickly as possible to ensure that the submission draft of the new local plan is brought to members in the new year in accordance with the new local plan programme that will be presented, as I said earlier, to Cabinet soon. The Development Management Service continues to progress pre-application work linked to potentially emerging planning proposals. And in fact, we've officers have started sending around a list, which you've probably seen, of potential pre-application sites. It's going to all members. Well, I'll check that, but it may be going to all members. I've certainly seen it. It's gets longer every week. The number of inquiries that we're getting that will all very likely will turn into applications. Preparations are being made for what will probably be a very busy planning committee on the 14th of October. Be some potentially quite significant schemes linked to developers submitting proposals in that period. And that is likely to continue a busier planning committee until the council can secure the adoption of its new local plan. Thank you very much. But I'll just come back to that issue. So what we're doing is keeping a good list of application inquiries that are coming in. We're monitoring those on the basis of whether or not they are a local plan site, so one that we're putting forward in the draft plan, or whether they're one in fact that we have rejected as an authority. But we're still getting interest and likely applications in that. And that's all being set out in the spreadsheet, so you can see where it's come from. You can also see it by area of the district, i.e. Market Harborough, large villages, so on and so forth. So I'll just check where that is, because that's a piece of information I'm sure all members are going to find of interest to them.
Well, thanks, Simon. And I just want to say, I know you're putting a lot of hours in, you and the officers on this whole thing to do with the local plan. I mean, the workload is immense. And, you know, we're very grateful to everybody who's involved in that because it's certainly not easy. I think that the large number of meetings, as you say, is going to continue. There's no doubt in my mind that the stronger planning service team is going to be vital, because if they're not there, I don't quite know how on earth we could service the community in the way that they need to be serviced on this. Because it's important that we not only are looking to deliver for the community, but also to protect the community. So the sooner we get the local plan through and we've got a local plan in place, and I would appeal to everybody to remember that the sooner there's a local planning, the greater the protection it affords to the whole of the district. And I think it falls upon all of us that we've got to get something done on that as quickly as we can. There'll always be the discussion about infrastructure. That's vital. And that is something we're going to have to look at in great detail. But as I say to you and to the planning team, thank you for what you're doing, because you're doing a great job with it. You're spending many hours in meetings. And as you say, there's a lot more to come. There really is. Anybody got any questions at all for Simon? He's had the praise, he needs the questions now. No? Everybody seems happy, Simon. Anything you want to add at all? Or fine. Darren, over to you.
Thank you, Leader. Right, so I'll start with parking services. So the pay and display machines replacement project is nearing delivery and installation. The LED lighting upgrade has been completed across the main car parks. The parking strategy survey completed, analysis and action planning to follow. There's been some maintenance and minor repairs are underway. We're awaiting quotes for larger works, as in relining and resurfacing. New signage installed at Northampton Road Sports Ground. Springfield Retail Park, we've relined and lamppost columns have been repaired. The recycling area has been cleared. And again, that came up again today around the Oxfam bins. So we are working with the community there to keep things clear. Sainsbury's are to correct some incorrectly painted bays, and we are still enduring staffing recruitment challenges with our enforcement officers. In the licensing area, so it's been a busy summer with large events. Compliance checks have been undertaken and no license breaches have been found. A few minor noise complaints which are not linked directly to licensing. In the nighttime economy, there's been increased police patrols as part of the Safer Streets summer. No venue issues reported, and the joint operation for taxis and nighttime event venues is planned. Committee and staffing, licensing committee meets on the 17th of September with refresher training, and we are recruiting to cover maternity leave, and a new part-time support officer is settling in. And then I'll move on to the commercial team, food safety and health. Food Standards Agency, our meeting is to be held to review the food inspection performance. The FSA expects all overdue interventions to be completed by March 2026. Draft action plan is due. Alternative interventions for low risk premises are being considered, and additional resources may be needed. When it comes to events, officers have been attending large events to monitor food hygiene and health and safety. The tattoo licenses issued at one event. Looking ahead, action plan development is a priority. I won't read the next bit. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to actually. And then performance, food hygiene ratings tracked via Pentana, focus on maintaining high standards. Under environmental services, we have contract and specifications. So there's weekly meetings with WSP and Welland Procurement. Major focus on drafting service specifications and supporting documents. There's 24 of those in total, and I'm told they're all quite voluminous, like 200 plus pages for each one of those. And they're all due by the end of September. The data room is being created for all council service data, which will be shared with the procurement. The fleet and equipment contracts have been signed for new vehicles. Phased delivery sweepers should start in October 2025. RCVs February 2026, and the food waste vehicles in September 27. Litter bin replacement. There's a project to replace a number of those is ongoing, and that's been phased by area and condition. And there's some jet washing going on in the town centres where the pigeons have been doing their business too much. Fly tipping remains a significant issue, especially in the west of the district. Food waste service planning is underway, so the rollout, containers, costs and cabinet reports. Bin policy is being refreshed, which is in this cabinet's agenda, and the TEEP, which is the technical, environmental, economic, what's the P stand for? Practical assessment for trade and domestic waste is in process. The depot and temporary site planning is ongoing. Community initiatives, the environmental crime team is working with the local Wombles on hotspot cleanups, graffiti removal and business engagement is ongoing. Dog walking and play area improvements are planned. So that's a few parts, upgrades and stuff like that. Radio and social media campaigns on garden waste, fly tipping and duty of care and littering. And the last item on here, environment. So air quality, residents have expressed concerns in Kibworth and they have been addressed and the council is responding to their queries. And a new climate impact officer has been appointed, Carol Fay, and ongoing flood alleviation work and grant distribution. So £35,000 has been distributed to 70 residents. And some people may have noticed that work on the restoration of the bell tower in Welland Park has started. So it's very impressive watching that. I think there's a crowd of our staff down there watching it. And on a personal note, I joined up with Colour at Harborough in painting 3 broadband utility cabinets. So I didn't do the artwork, I just did the base coats and I'm not skilled enough. But there you go, and hopefully be many more of those in the future. So that's me. Thank you very much.
Another quiet portfolio then, Darren.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks for what you're doing. There's a heck of a lot of work there. Anybody any questions to talk for Darren on all of that? No? I think you've got away with that one, Darren, but thanks again. Dry mouth now. Brilliant. Now we should be following that with a report from the champion on the young persons, but unfortunately Councillor Anderson can't make it this evening. So we've offset that and we will bring that report to a later cabinet meeting. So we now move on to item number 4, which is questions to the cabinet. As far as I'm aware, there are no questions to the cabinet, so that one is there. We now move on to public business, which is item 5, page 3 to 22, draft minutes of the cabinet meeting held on the 28th of July, 2025. I'm sure we've all read the minutes. Is there anything anybody wants to raise on the minutes? Is everyone happy with them? Okay, well, I will formally move the minutes. If anyone else would like to second it, I'd appreciate it. Councillor Radford, thank you. So all those in favour? Anyone against? That's unanimous bar one. Are you abstaining, Councillor Gould? You're quite happy. Jolly good. That's unanimous. Okay, I'll just sign these if I may. We've did done. Okay. We now move on to item number 6, which is the asset transfer cabinet 16th of September today, page 23 to 90. This is in point of fact, as I understand it, no change to the current policy, but I'm going to invite Councillor Knight to actually introduce this.
Yes, thank you, Leader. So, yeah, basically, we're asking seek agreement of the Cabinet to process the asset transfer for those towns and parish councils who request any asset transfers. And to support the use of £50,000 reserve of fund temporary officer resource to process the transfers. And I'm happy to move that this be taken forward.
Okay, just to repeat, the recommendations are on page 23. As it says on the top there, it approves the process of asset transfers to town and parish councils. That is, there's a no change to the policy. it is there. You're just approving the actual process
Yes.
tonight. It's not actually doing anything much more than that. Does anyone want to come in at all? Any of the officers on this? No, everyone's looking quite pleased, quite happy.
Nothing specific. Nothing specific unless members have got any questions.
Thanks, Clive. Anybody any questions at all? No? Okay, well, it has been moved by councillor Knight. Is there a seconder? Councillor Woodywis? Unless anyone wants to make any comment, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? That is carried unanimously. So we now move on to page 91 to 94, which is the bad debt situation, which again is over to you, Jim. Would you like to lead off on that? And Clive, obviously, any support would be appreciated.
Obviously, the delay, just scrolling through to page 94.
Page 91. Jim.
91, sorry.
Yeah,
I beg your pardon.
page 91, bad debt write-off, revenues and
Yeah.
benefits. It is a full report on the situation. Would you-
I'll use your paper. It's taking me forever to get down there. Okay, so, yeah, so the recommendation obviously is that cabinet notes the amount written off under the delegated powers. And really the reasons for recommendation, all reasonable steps to recover the debt have been taken, and therefore where write-off is recommended, it is the only course of action left available. I went through this. I went through this with Clive, Section 1151 officer. I think obviously the largest amount is bankruptcy and liquidation leader. So if there's any questions from anyone, to move.
Well, the total amount is there listed on page 92 on the following page.
The total amount is 36,687.
Okay, I'll ask Clive to come in and just give us some bits and pieces of background. Clive.
This report is a standard report. You get one every 6 months, except this one's a little bit different. It's not actually asking cabinet to approve any of the write-offs, because none of them are more than individually more than £10,000. It's to let you know, because under the there's a delegation for debts under 10 grand can be written off by the partnership. It's just the approved process, but it's good to let you know what's being written off. So the total amount being written off is just shy of 37k. The biggest one in here is as Councillor Knight mentions, is around bankruptcy and liquidation, and that totals just shy of 21k. But that is made up of 6 individual debts. So yeah, nothing really else to comment on that.
Thank you, Clive. Anybody got any questions at all for Clive? No? Everyone happy? I'm not saying we're happy at writing off the money, but as I say, Clive says we've done everything we reasonably can. You're formally moving that, Jim?
Yeah, although
Note.
as to note it, yeah,
Okay.
we.
Exactly. Second, Joe, all in favour? Anyone against? That's unanimously noted. Thank you very much. We now move on to page 95, which is the report on refuse and recycling container policy. This is down to you, Darren, to present it.
Thank you, Leader. I did refer to it earlier, but this is basically a refresh of the current bin policy, which has been in place since 2020, and obviously the inclusion for food waste service that's going to begin. And I thoroughly recommend the policy as a good nighttime read. So,
Thank you very much. Right. Is there anything you want to add to this, Russell?
And the one point is that it's a statutory service that we put in place on the food waste service. I know that there might be some questions from members of the public starting to come, and we are producing FAQs on that. And there will be a further report on food waste generally coming to cabinet as well.
Okay. Right, anybody else want to say anything? I've got a couple of points I want to make. Simon?
Yeah, just on the bags, if we give people something to start with and then they get their own, would you imagine people just do this online, or will we expect local outlets to stop them, and can we encourage that?
It could be a mix of that. Obviously, there's a popular organisation out there that a lot of people use for next day delivery, but yes, it will be local shops as well for stock these, which I think some did previously when we operated it.
So while we want to get involved in the commercial market, can we give advice? We'll be able to publish some information on what the best bag is, because there'll be lots of different companies offering it, and so whatever we're going to give out to start with, we could presumably provide information on that is the best one. I assume that's what we're going to provide.
Advice on that, so
Yeah.
the council will not recommend a specific.
Yeah, I'm not saying we recommend
But we can give a specification.
that's what I mean. Yes. Can we publish the specification? Because obviously people will be encouraged to buy all sorts of things that might not do the job as well.
And we are also looking at options for the initial roll that will be given out. So one with handles, ones without, etc. And also testing the market.
Anybody else? No? So we'll get some commentary back on that. And if you can supply that to all of the cabinet and to all councillors, just what we can and cannot say by way of giving an explanation. I think it is important on this because it is a very, very important scheme. I think I'm right in saying that we've had two-year extensions on a lot of this, and we've actually finally we've done the job with it. As an administration, we've actually come forward to finally ensure that this is delivered. And then when we took over on this, there was no fleet of our own, no depot of our own, no plan for procurement, and the responsible officer at the time was working 50% of his time in Melton. And we've actually addressed all of that. And I think we can be very proud that we're actually getting this delivered, because this is important for the community. As we said, it's a statutory service, and yet again, it's something that we've delivered. And I think it's important that we put that on record. So anybody else want to make any comment? No? Okay, so you're formally moving it, Darren?
I formally move it.
Okay, the recommendations are listed on the bottom of page 95. Is there a seconder? That's a Knight. All those in favour? Anyone against? That is carried unanimously. We now move on to page 127, which is Q4 financial reports. This is split into strategy and finance, but obviously, Jim, you can talk across both sections. I've no problem with that.
Yeah.
I've got some points I'll add, but obviously I'm happy that you do that. And then obviously, Clive, if you want to come in and give us some commentary. Thanks a lot, Russell. Okay, do you want to kick off with this, Jim?
Yep. Yeah, just
You want to borrow Joe's paper?
that's all right, I've got it. I have got it this time. I was there. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Joe, stepping in. Okay, so just looking for the recommendation. So this is the recommendations are that Cabinet considers and comments on the contents of this report and associated appendages, and approves the capital carry forwards slippage detail in Appendix 5, totaling 11.223 million into 25-26. The reason for this, the council's performance management framework requires that both scrutiny and the cabinet have a role in monitoring the performance of the council against its corporate plan, and good finance governance requires the cabinet to consider and comment on financial outturn. Such commentary demonstrates to customers, partners, stakeholders that the council is actively considering the environment within council, which the council is operating. So I'm happy if Clive has any comments.
through you, leader. So yeah, so this is the Court 4 report at the end of 24-25, and members will recall for quite a while now we've been trying to combine both financial performance and what you would probably call quantitative performance together into one report. In respect of finance on the revenue side, we're just over 800,000 unspent, which is about 5.3% of our budget. Capital is does have considerable amount of slippage, but you remember we have quite a considerable amount in there for the depot and the cemetery were set aside, and so they're quite big contributors to that slippage. So the detail of the variances are shown in one of the appendices. I think it's Appendix 3. In respect to performance, we're doing pretty well really, I think, for the local authority. So I'll just flip down to the notes. In respect of performance, we don't have any red key activities, but we do have 4 red activities on the strategic performance KPI dashboard. It's all detailed there for you to have a look at. Members have got any comments? I mean, I can go through the variances if you would like me to, but I guess members have read the report and the details in there.
Well, I think the important thing is with this report, I mean, there's no spin in this at all. Has been mentioned on social media by somebody. This is all based on fact. And, you know, I'd just like to add 1 or 2 comments myself. If you look to page 159 about the annual achievements of 2024-2025, it says in there about 337,000 of 1 million town and parish council community fund has been allocated to 26 projects. Joe touched on earlier, that's now well over 930,000 and a huge amount of projects. The Harbour Youth Council is now meeting regularly, vitally important for the future of the community. We've had our first community awards ceremony and one due very shortly again. Our officers are working on that. It's early in October and we've had an incredible amount of nominations for that. And it's going to be bigger this year than it was last year, which is a great tribute to the communities. The communities team had visited at this time 47 organisations or networks, including parish councils. I mean, the chief executive and I started to visit parish councils. We're going to be continuing that on with that over the next weeks and months, and we'll be following all the way through on that. When you look over the page, you know, current temporary accommodation has been refurbished with 200,000 spent on Bowman's Yard. We've reopened and refurbished the leisure centre in Lutterworth, and we've also done the one in Market Harbour. We've spent 1.357 million of 106 funding allocated across the district. Harbour has cut its total annual greenhouse gas emissions by 39% since 2019. We purchased 133 acres of land at Tin House Farm, Great Bowden, to create a project of national significance. Because of the work we've done as a council, it's bringing on board, you know, stakeholders that's going to make this whole scheme potentially over 500 acres. I mean, it's quite remarkable that we've actually, as a council, been able to do that. We've allocated funding to households who have been unfortunate to be the victims of flooding. We didn't have to do it. We felt it was the right thing to do to support our community. And I think, you know, I have to say that I think that was a wonderful thing that we did, just to show the community that people do care, we are listening, and we are there to try and support our residents. 10,000 trees given away as part of the VE Day celebrations. They're all mini, I suppose, and I'll use this phrase, mini forests that are popping up in different places of these trees where people have taken them and planted them, and they'll be there to commemorate VE Day, you know, for a very, very long time. We've also got, you know, the 2 tiny forests, official tiny forests that have been developed. We've developed and delivered a balanced medium-term financial strategy. We've had the banking hub. As the bank started to pull away, we made sure there was a facility. And I could go on about that, you know, and I think all the way through, if you look through page 163, you've got, you know, the launch of a new ASB case management scheme, again, all delivered by HDC. When you turn over to page 164 and 165, there's list after list after list of members and groups from within our community who have benefited from what we've been able to supply. I think it's a great thing that we can sit and look at that. For me, and we've said this at the grants panel, it fascinates me that people come along. Some people are asking for as little, and Husbands Bosworth was a very good example. They wanted 2,800 to install a local history arts frieze in the newly developed Millennium Pavilion. Fantastic. Little Bowden Bowls Club, 2,978. And then you went from there across to the 106 where the Bowman of Glen, 147,000. You know, schemes from very little amount of money to huge amounts. And we've been able to deliver that right across. First Fleckney Scouts Group, we've delivered for Fleckney there £8,328 to construct a storage area, something that was definitely, desperately needed. So that all sorts of things. And I think it's a great tribute. And I think I would recommend anybody to sit down and have a read through that, because I think it really is worthwhile reading it. And then the Sports Awards, which you'll know all about, Joe, because obviously it's on your portfolio. Again, all the people who were recipients there, fantastic. So I think it's a really good report. It's been well constructed, and I'm certainly very happy to see that adopted. Anybody else want to make any comments? Okay, all those in favour? Anyone against? That is duly carried. We then move over to 2025-26 performance reports on page 167. Over to you again, Jim. I know we're a bit early in the year for this one, and there's probably not an awful lot that we're going to say on it, but obviously it has to be processed. So page 167,
Nearly there.
and while you're looking, Jim, I'll just say that the recommendations are that the Cabinet considers and comments on the contents of this report and the associated appendices. But as I say, it is fairly early. Would you like me to bring Clive in so we can get Clive to make some covering comments, Jim?
Yes, please.
Okay, Clive, you want to come in?
Through you, Chair. So, yeah, you're quite right. It is very early. And unfortunately, we can't bring it any earlier because, of course, June means we stop with the report together in July. But of course, you go into recess in August. That's the earliest opportunity. At the minute, we're generally we're looking like we're on budget for the year, but I do expect that to change as the year progresses. And of course, we're now in September, which is getting close to the end of quarter two. Similarly, there are some initial thoughts on performance. They're detailed elsewhere on the report, and exactly the same format as in quarter four, but you've just considered the variance analysis, the detailed commentary on performance is shown in the attached appendices. So I'm assuming everybody's read the report. So they're the highlights, really. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Jim, do you want to say anything?
No, not a lot to add. I just think, obviously, I know that, Clive and his team worked really hard on this, and it's really good to see that we're in a very good financial position.
Okay, Liz, want to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of things to bring to members' attention. You'll see in the appendices that we have enhanced it slightly with the climate action plan, which we intended to do all along, and that's brought climate action right to the forefront of the quarterly reporting. And there's also a part in there around the peer review recommendations that we've put in as an additional performance measure to make sure that we're on track for those 6 recommendations that the peer review put to us last year. And just to let members know that we have agreed the review date on the 19th of December for the peer review, and I've got an update meeting next week with the LGA to go through what we need to do to prepare for that. But you will see in the report that we are on track for delivery of all of the things that they recommended to us, and so I'm hopeful that in December we will get a positive report back from the LGA on the peer challenge. Thank you.
All right. Anybody any other points they want to raise at all? No? All those in favour? Anyone against? That's carried.
Sorry, just just to double check, was that proposed and seconded?
For the minutes, thank you. I thought councillor,
I'm sorry, did I not say I am happy to move?
okay,
I don't know. if you've got a second.
councillor Ball seconded.
Amazing, thank you.
You're very welcome, El. Thank you for keeping us on track. Okay, we then move on now to page 211, which is the rewilding project. And unfortunately, Cap can't be here tonight to offer any comment on that, but I know John's ready to sort of step in. I did cover some of this a little bit earlier on. I mean, this is a truly remarkable project that we are leading. I mean, what we've done here is that our 133 acres has acted as a catalyst, a key to unlock the potential of this scheme. I've really got to pay tribute to our stakeholder partners in this, because there's a partnership. You know, when you're talking about 500 acres, it is quite remarkable. I mean, this is a scheme of national significance. We've got DEFRA who are coming up a couple of weeks' time. They've asked to come here, which is great. They want to come, they want to see the project. We've got, you know, I mean, this is now getting recognised nationally. We've already penciled in and got moving forward now with our two committees. The first two, they will be meeting shortly. As I touched on earlier on, we've also got the situation where we'll be having the meeting with the volunteers. Incredible number of volunteers have come up. I mean, how on earth we've kept them at bay, I do not know, because they're genuinely keen to get up there and start working on it. We're getting tremendous help from the Wildlife Trust. I mean, the expertise we're getting from them is fantastic. It really is. I mean, I've got to say, particularly Ben, he's doing a great job. I still haven't forgiven him for frightening the life out of me when he showed us the first sort of slides on this, and all the edging of the slides was tigers, giraffes and everything else. But thank goodness he's removed all of that now, and we're seeing things like badgers on there and skylarks and other things, which is great. I mean, this scheme is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's not, we absolutely know that it's not going to be something that's going to be delivered in a week, a month or a year. I mean, this is something long term. This is a heritage project. It's a heritage project that Harbour District Council can proudly say that we've offered the key to unlock it. It is going to be something that is going to be delivered through these stakeholder corporations, and it's going to be delivered over the next 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, they're talking about redirecting the river. They're talking about all these different things that can be done. There'll be tree planting on there. There'll be wetlands on there. There'll be areas for the community. And each of the partners would actually come into it. I mean, the James Adler scheme alone, you know, is quite remarkable. You have to pay tribute. It's a wonderful, wonderful scheme in its own right. That is part of this. The whole thing is there. Tremendous partners, as I say, absolute tribute to all of them. And this is going to be about involving all members of the community, all of the community groups, because, you know, this is something that our generation has unlocked the key on, but it will be future generations that will benefit from it. And I think we should all be really proud of that and just keep our fingers crossed that we can get this progressed and deliver what we would like to see it deliver. Oh, no more to add on that, I don't think, really. Anybody want to make any comments at all? Or John?
Yeah, I can just add a few points around the key activities to date, which are listed in the report. The establishment of the steering group with partners is now active and operating, and we're going to be developing that shortly with the subgroups, as has been mentioned. The appointment of John Bristow as Leicestershire Rutland Wildlife Trust Officer, but funded in partnership with the District Council through our UK Shared Prosperity funding and contributions from Anglian Water. He's now started, so as was mentioned again earlier, the work will start to accelerate now. We have a dedicated officer in post. Preliminary site surveys have been undertaken, and we're going to start getting some data back from that to understand kind of the baseline of environmental activity on the site. Again, it was mentioned earlier, we are seeing skylarks nesting there in the fields. We're seeing mammal tracks now as the grass has grown. Very clear to see the routes that mammals are taking throughout some of the land. We've got the saplings coming through. We had frog spawn in the pond on lot 3. So, you know, we're really seeing nature come to the fore now, and the hedges are being left to grow, and nature's natural processes are taking its due course, and it's really exciting to see that happen in front of our eyes, and we're trying to capture that work as we go. In the report, we've got the draft vision that's been put together, and with Cabinet's agreement tonight, we'll now take that formally to partners for them to consider that, along with some memorandums of understanding, which aren't legal requirements, but shape our work with partners going forward. So really tonight is an update report, but work will accelerate. More updates will be given to members over the coming months now as we begin to move forward.
Darren?
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I can't let this moment pass without actually saying something on this. So yeah, personally very excited. Harborough sits in an incredibly denuded part of the country. We are in a wildlife desert effectively, so this will take great strides to mitigate that. And I can palpably hear the fizzing of excitement in a lot of our volunteer groups locally. So I'm looking forward to the first of these committee meetings, which I'm chairing one of them, I believe. So give me the date soon, please. And I'm really excited about it. Thank you.
You've got one and Joe's got the other, the first two. So looking forward to that. Anybody else want to add anything at all? No? I mean, I think this is underpinning what we're trying to do across the whole of the district, really. We're trying to do more and more to bring nature back to our whole, all of our communities in some way, shape or form. Anybody? No? Okay. Oh, Councillor Asher.
Yeah, just to really reiterate what you and Darren have said, that this is really important project for the district. Like you say, there's nothing like this around Harborough. We are desperately in need of places where wildlife and nature can be restored, with all the house building and the criticism of that. This goes a small way to put something back, and for us to help create something that the members of the public can enjoy in the future as well. It's so important that there's places to go to get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and being at nature is so important for people's mental well-being.
No, I think that's absolutely right, Joe. I mean, it's not just about sort of the physical well-being, it's an enjoyment of the side. It's also about the mental health well-being as well. There's so much that this can achieve. I mean, people actually come up to you in the street to talk about it. The community are absolutely delighted with what we're doing with this, and I think it's it's great that they're so enthusiastic about it. And as it starts to become sort of more and more open and more evident in the community, I think they'll get more and more excited, more and more involved, and it's going to be one heck of a project. And I say again, I think Harborough District Council can be extremely proud of the fact, that we've unlocked the key on this. And to repeat again, with our partners, and repeat again, we have to pay tribute to them. With our partners in this, we can deliver so much for the community. Well, there's a lot of hard work, but we've got to do everything we can to make sure it's delivered. We can't see it derailed in any way, shape or form. We've got to get this delivered. It's so important. Yeah, come on, John.
And just to confirm, there'll be a presentation by Kat and Bendavine at the next full council meeting, where they'll take us through a full presentation for all members.
I have been told, and I don't know how true this is because you've touched about the skylarks and the oaks and everything. I've been told they found footprints from Ipswich Town supporters up there. I don't know how true that is. Yeah.
Thank you, members. Yeah.
I like the extinct comment. Thank you, Joe. Glad you said that. I couldn't have got away with that one. Okay. Anybody else want to make any comments at all? No? Okay. Well, it has been moved by me. Is there a seconder? Councillor Asher? Did you get that? Great. All those in favour? Anyone against? That is carried, and I would encourage people to read the document. It's very interesting reading. That moves us on now to item 12, which is any urgent business. There is no urgent business as far as I know. Excuse me. And we now move to item 13, which is section 100A, subsection 4 of the Local Government Act 1972. The following item is suggested to be dealt with under the above legislation, and this is going to tell me.
Only if you wanted to comment on the exempt minutes. If you have no comment on the exempt minutes, we don't need to go into exempt.
I was going to cover that when I got to the end of this, but don't worry, Liz, you've done it for me. So, what I was going to say is that the public and press be excluded for the remainder of the meeting on the grounds that the matters yet to be discussed involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in the paragraphs 1 and 2 of Part 1 and 2 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I will formally move that if members want to go into the detail that Liz has outlined. If you don't want to, and you have no comments that you wish to make, then it's not necessary to go into private session. So does anyone wish to make any comment? Do I need to put that forward as a proposal? Okay, so we just simply move acceptance of the notes as they stand then. So I'll move that with acceptance. Is there a seconder? Jim, thank you. All those in favour? Anyone against? That's carried. Thanks, Liz. Okay, and we now come to the end of the meeting. So with that, thank you very much. And this formal meeting is now closed at 1 minute before 20 to 8. I think.